Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa 5 centuries ago, and today it hangs behind a highly protective bulletproof glass inside the Louvre Museum. It is regarded as the most famous painting in the world, drawing thousands of admirers from all corners of the world every day. It has its room and receives mails from fans all over the globe. It is a simple portrait of an ordinary woman dressed in a modest veil, dark robes, and without jewelry. The Mona Lisa is one of the most valuable paintings in the world. It holds the Guinness World Record for the highest known insurance valuation in history at $100 million in 1962, equivalent to $870 million in 2021. French King Francis I, in whose court Leonardo spent the last years of his life, acquired the work after the artist's death, and it became part of the royal collection. For centuries, the portrait was secluded in French palaces until insurgents claimed the royal collection as the property of the people during the French Revolution. Following a period hanging in Napoleon's bedroom, the Mona Lisa was installed in the Louvre Museum at the turn of the 19th century. In 1911, the painting was stolen, causing an immediate media sensation. People flocked to the Louvre to view the empty place where the painting had once hung. The museum's director of paintings resigned, and the poet Guillaume Apollinaire and artist Pablo Picasso were even arrested as suspects. 2 years later, an art dealer in Florence alerted local authorities that a man had tried to sell him the painting. Police found the portrait slashed in the false bottom of a trunk belonging to Vincenzo Perugia, an Italian immigrant who had briefly worked at the Louvre fitting glass on a selection of paintings, including the Mona Lisa. He and possibly two other workers had hidden in a closet overnight, taken the portrait from the wall the morning of August 21, 1911, and run off without suspicion. Perugia was arrested, tried, and imprisoned, while the Mona Lisa took a tour of Italy before making its triumphant return to France. The Mona Lisa bears a strong resemblance to many Renaissance depictions of the Virgin Mary, who was at that time seen as an ideal for womanhood. The woman sits smartly upright in a Posetto armchair with her arms folded, a sign of her reserved posture. Her gaze is fixed on the observer. The woman appears alive to an unusual extent, which Leonardo achieved by his method of not drawing outlines. Sfumato is one of the canonical painting modes of the Renaissance and is a painting technique for softening the transition between colors, mimicking an area beyond what the human eye is focusing on or the out of focus plane. The soft blending creates an ambiguous mood mainly in two features, the corner of the mouth and the corner of the eyes. The technique is a fine shading mean to produce a soft transition between colors and tones. In order to achieve is most often used by making subtle gradation that do not include lines or borders from areas of light to areas of dark. The technique was used not only to give an elusive and illusionistic retending of the human face, but also to create rich atmospheric effects. Leonardo da Vinci described the technique as blending colors without the use of lines or borders in the manner of smoke. We live in a culture that is so saturated with images that may be difficult to imagine a time when only the wealthiest people had their likeness captured. The wealthy merchants of Renaissance's Florence could commission a portrait, but even they could likely only have a single portrait painted during their lifetime. A portrait was about more than likeness, it spoke to status and position. In addition, portraits generally took a long time to paint, and the subject would commonly have to sit for hours or days while the artist captured their likeness. The Mona Lisa was originally this type of portrait, but over time its meaning has shifted and it has become an icon of the Renaissance. The most recognized painting in the world, the Mona Lisa, is a likely a portrait of the wife of a Florentine merchant, and so her grace would have been meant for her husband. For some reasons, however, the portrait was never delivered to its patron, and Leonardo kept it with him when he went to work for Francis I, the King of France. The Mona Lisa's mysterious smile has inspired many writers, singers, and painters. Here's a passage about the Mona Lisa written by the Victorian era writer Walter Pater. We all know the face and hands of the figure set in its marble chair in that circle of fantastic rocks, as in some faint light under sea. Perhaps of all ancient pictures, time has chilled it least. The presence that thus rose to strategically beside the waters is expensive of what in the way of 1,000 year men had come to desire. Here is the head upon which all the hens of the world are come, and the eyelids are a little weavy. It is a beautiful worth out from within up the flesh. They deposit little cells by cells of strong thoughts and fantastic gravies, and execute passions. Set it for a moment beside one whose white Greek goddess or beautiful women of antiquity, and how could they troubled by this beauty, into which the soul with all its maladies has passed?